Okay, let's start this off. 1, 2, 3. Hello, everybody. My name is Dante, and this is the Friendly Neighborhood Podcast. Now, I know what a lot of you who have been wanting to listen to this next episode are saying to yourself, Dante, it's been 2 months. What the fuck? Well, I got busy, and also I got lazy, so I haven't done an episode in about 2 months. I think the last time I uploaded was the 4th of July, and now it's August 26th of me recording this. I don't know if it'll come out the same day. Yeah, so I've been doing stuff. Sorry about that, everybody. If you've actually been wanting to hear this next episode, which is technically episode 1, because this will be a full episode of me talking about several things. Yes, you graduated from one thing to several things. You lucky bastards, you. Alright, so, basically, if you don't know, this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, or this is just your first time ever listening to anything like this, this is a show that I call the Friendly Neighborhood Podcast, where I, Dante Berry, explain my love for comics and try to bring it out to an audience that maybe doesn't know as much about it. You know, we live in a world full of superhero movies, shows, just media in general. They're just, like, on top. They're the absolute prime cut of the pop culture right now. Yet, a lot of people don't know a lot about superheroes, or comic books in general. They don't know about the origins. They don't know the different things about them. They don't understand the nuances, the reason why the comic fans jizz in their pants when they see that certain little design on the movie screen. They're like, what are you, a geek? What are you, a freaking idiot? No, they're not idiots. They're just seeing something that they recognize, and they're like, oh, that's pretty nice. And I'm here to give you the same reaction by explaining to you things that maybe you didn't know before. So, with that introduction and explanation out of the way, I think the first thing to talk about is the elephant in the comic book world room, which would be Spider-Man leaving the MCU. And for those who don't know, the rights, or at least the movie rights, to Spider-Man as a character and his little world, little corner of the Marvel Universe, is owned by Sony, has been owned by Sony for a while. I believe the 90s is when they bought him from Thwipp. And what has been going on is that Sony has kind of hogged those rights for a long time, not allowing Marvel, in its infancy, the Marvel Studios, to use him and to integrate him into their little universe, until 2015, when they had announced they had come to a deal that would allow Marvel part ownership of Spider-Man, a 5% cut. And so ever since then, he's been a part of the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, first appearing in Captain America Civil War. And much to everybody's fanfare, everybody loved that this happened, everybody was super excited, as was I. I was extremely excited to see him interacting with these other heroes. And he's been a part of the Marvel Universe since then, and has become a mainstay, and in fact, one of the most important characters in that little universe. However, though, recently, a falling out in the contract between Disney and Sony has occurred. So now, as of this, me recording this podcast right now, because I'll be honest, this is probably going to change, Spider-Man is out of the MCU, which means he will no longer be in any further MCU movies, and Tom Holland, the actor who plays him, will still play the character, yet he will not play them in the MCU. He will play them in separate films that still continue off of Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home, but they don't connect to the MCU. How they're going to explain that, I don't know. I don't believe they are going to explain it, as I'll get into later, because I think that they're just going to bite the bullet and come to a deal anyway. And now everybody freaked out about this. Everybody was absolutely losing their mind, going fucking nuts, because, oh my god, freaking my Spidey boy, Iron Man Jr., he is out of MCU. Oh, I hate you 3000, fuck you 3000, Sony, and all, just absolutely fucking bonkers. And of course, everybody blames Sony, which is sort of fair in the fact, like, I don't know what they expected, because Sony's done some, not some awesome choices with Spider-Man in the past. So everybody is very quick and inclined to blame Sony right off the bat. Although this debacle here really wasn't their fault. This is more of Disney putting their foot down, saying, "Hey, you know how our deal was 5%? Well, now we want 50% because fuck you. We're Disney." And so that's what happened, and Sony, being a company that is in very big danger, and Spider-Man is one of the biggest things keeping them afloat, they said, I don't know about that, and they backed up. So, where do I see this? I don't really have a side, although if I had to defend one more, I think I would defend Sony more, for personal reasons and it has everything to do with the character. What do I think is going to happen? What I think is going to happen is that Disney is going to be Disney and just fucking buy it. They're just going to go ahead and just do it. They're going to put down the money, but like Spider-Man's too risky to lose. We've integrated him too much into this little universe we have, into all this merchandise, into our theme parks, this Spider-Man ride we're making now, that if we lose the character is going to be absolutely out of place. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen eventually. Nothing's going to go forward until that happens. But what I think would be a favorable thing to happen would be for Sony to keep the rights. And I know a lot of you MCU fans are probably screaming top of your lungs at me right now, calling me a beta loser cuck, a Sony tard, as some would say. But the reason why I'd say that is because while Sony has made some bad decisions in the past with Spider-Man, I believe that they have his best interest at heart with the character, as representing the character. Because even in the bad films that Sony has put out with Spider-Man, they kept his character intact. They kept his character true to who he is, to what he does. In every single film he was in, I could say with 100% certainty to myself that they correctly did Spider-Man. Even in Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was like one of the good parts of that movie was the fact that they got Spider-Man right. Everybody else sucks though. However, I can't say the same about the MCU. While I like the MCU Spider-Man, I enjoy him. I enjoy Tom Holland's performance. He's not true to character. He really isn't. There's a lot of things added and things missing that really add up to a incomplete Spider-Man. He's too dependent on the world around him. A lot of people make the joke. They're like, "Oh, Iron Man Jr., Iron Man Jr." He's Iron Man Jr. That's a valid criticism of the MCU Spider-Man. And everybody's like, no. But you see, in Spider-Man Homecoming, he says, no thank you to the suit. No thank you. I don't want to be part of Avenger. And see, that would be nice and dandy if in the next movie he didn't don the Iron Spider and join the Avengers. So basically, the climax and the saving grace for his character of Spider-Man Homecoming is completely just slapped across the face and washed away in Infinity War and not even touched on in Endgame. So then you go to the next movie, which would be Far From Home, which they did a good job of bringing some elements of Spider-Man to the character, such as, him always having problems, consequences, always hitting him in the face. But still, there was just a lot of stuff that just made me I liked it for this version of the character, but do I wish they had gone with a different version from the get-go? Yes. He isn't the Spider-Man I know. And, do I think Sony could go ahead and do a new version of Spider-Man that could be very accurate to character? Yes. They've proved that they can do that, and that's what they want to do, reportedly. Yeah. That's really it. I'm kind of very neutral on this whole situation. As a Spider-Man fan, you'd expect me to be freaking out, but either way, I don't care. I'm like, all right, whatever. I still got the comic books, I'm the type of Spider-Man fan that as long as you have Spider-Man there, I'm pretty much on board. No matter what, you could put Spider-Man and have him be played by a literal piece of shit, like an actual lump of feces, and odds are you will still have my money because it's Spider-Man, and I'm just that much of a spider cuck. So yeah, that's really all there is to that situation that I'd want to talk about. It's kind of weird. Well, we'll see where this goes. They it's kind of weird because this happened like right before D23, which is like the Disney Expo where they talk about everything they're gonna do for like the next 4 years or whatever. And they announced a lot of stuff from Marvel, including the Moon Knight show. They announced She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, all three things I'm very excited for. And they showed a little previews, not previews, but like concept art for the shows that we already knew about, such as WandaVision, which is going to be, looks like it's going to be a take on the Tom King The Vision story, which will be very interesting. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which will be alright. I think it'll be okay. As long as they keep the same cinematic feel to it and don't downgrade it, then I'll be cool with that. And what was the other one? I know What If, which will be interesting. I love What If's comic book. Hopefully they can live up to it in the show. And I feel like there's one more that Loki. I don't think they showed anything for Loki though. And they showed some concept in my or it's a solid for me. A solid I don't think that Black Widow would work well in a solo film. I mean, let me take that back. She will work well in a solo film, but I think she could work a lot better in a Disney Plus series. That would allow for some more mature themes and mature happenings, if you will. But yeah, that's what's going on in the Marvel TV movie side, the MCU. Let's move on to what I personally love a little more, is the comic books. And the biggest thing in the comic books right now for Marvel, absolute carnage. The baby, the infant babe of writer Donny Cates and artist Ryan Stegman. I'm so excited. I read the first issue and it was so good. I loved it a lot. Okay, I should give some background for those who don't know. Absolute Carnage is the first big event of the new Donny Cates Venom series that he has been writing with his, I guess, co-conspirator Ryan Stegman. And basically what's going on in Absolute Carnage is that, lo and behold, Carnage is back. And you know that little symbiote dragon that Eddie fought in Donny Cates Venom? Well, he took a little piece of that, and now Carnage is a god. And for those who don't know about anything I just said, and it sounds absolutely fucking bonkers to you, go read Donny Cates Venom and then read Absolute Carnage. You will understand it, and you'll love it, because it's a really great comic book. I highly recommend it. Okay, so this issue is absolutely fantastic. You see some awesome things of Eddie and Peter teaming up. Oh, okay, I want to talk about that for a second. Okay, so, you know, everybody knows Eddie Brock is Venom, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Donny Cates writes such a good Venom. But he writes such a good Spider-Man. Oh my gosh, I was reading the issue and just loved the way that Donny had Spidey speak his, like, just the way he talked. He had such like a subtle sass, but caring to him. You know, the joking nature of him, but he was also like kind. I just love the way he writes. I want him to write Spider-Man now. We live in such a great age of Spider-Man comics, where all the Spider-Man representation is also good. It's also good. It's also varied as well. It's all different types of Spider-Man, but it's all the same character. It all comes together to be a same person, and realistically, which I find very awesome. And I don't know if it's purposeful, but it's a nice little synergy that a lot of these writers have in making Spider-Man a full character. And Donny Cates definitely threw his hat into that, which I was very happy about. The action was awesome. I loved how they tied it in to going down swinging, or the Carnage Goblin. Is it Red Goblin? Yeah, Red Goblin. The Red Goblin saga from Dan Slott's last run Spider-Man. They brought back Norman, who's now looking exactly like Cletus Cassidy. More like Cletus Cassidy himself, who is at current an anorexic mess. The way Carnage looks now is really weird. personally. I understand why he looks like this. He looks like a little stick figure boy with a little because he's all possessed and all super uber powerful. Like, that'd be scary. But I would really like to see him at some point go back to the original Carnage look and state. So yeah, Absolute Carnage is awesome. I don't want to spoil anything too much. I accidentally threw some spoilers in there. But go read it. Go read Donny Cates' Venom, and then go read Absolute Carnage. There's one thing I don't like about the Absolute Carnage storyline, is that they're doing all these spin-off comics. I don't like when they do that, because it makes you buy more comics. And I understand it's for like, oh, it's to get, you know, people to buy this comic, these other series, and get interested in it, and then start, you know, buying that series, which I understand. But like when you make separate spin-offs, like that's a complete one-shot, that gets a little annoying, especially when it comes out each week, and it's like you gotta keep buying it. It's like I don't want to. Please don't make me. But yeah, buy this comic book. Catch up with what's going on. Definitely worth the read. If you are new to Venom, or you're new to comics in general, is Donny Cates' Venom a great starting point? Not optimal, but you can. If you like interesting stories of intrigue and mystery and with a dark twist, then go ahead and try Donny Cates' Venom. Alright, so the next topic that I would like to talk about in this podcast is Batman Hush. Now, I don't even know where to start with this one. So if you've watched Batman Hush already, which is based off, of course, the hit Batman comic Batman Hush, DC decided to animate this movie and set it within their New 52 animated universe, which I don't know why they're still going with their New 52 animated universe. The New 52 died a long time ago. Just update it, please. But yeah, this set in their little universe, the animated movies that have, for the most part, a lot of them have been disappointing compared to past movies that didn't have to rely on a canon and that didn't have to rely on frankly, a shitty art style. It's very lazy, very lazy animation style. This new movie kind of amps it up. It brings in better character development, better character relationships, better animation, surprisingly. A pretty good soundtrack, a pretty score, I should say, not a soundtrack. Because it's based off a really good comic book, so they have a lot of great material to base this stuff off of. And for the most part, it doesn't really interfere with the story. For the most part. Because this movie is great. For the first 15... No, not 15 minutes. The last 15 minutes suck. But for that first part of the movie, first, like, big chunk of the movie, it's great. I loved it. I was like, wow, this is actually really good. They really stepped up their game. Last 15 minutes of the movie, absolutely fucking blew it. Absolutely just sunk their own battleship. Jesus Christ. I bet you're asking why. The movie had good acting. Good voice acting. Good animation. Good story. Good characters. Good interactions. Good score. Why would this movie suck in the last 15 minutes? It's because, for those who don't know about Batman Hush, Batman's Hush was a Batman story that took a year to tell. And it had an overarching mystery. And it was a plot twist, and it was revealed, which I'm not going to reveal here. But, because I would like you to go read it and see for yourselves. Go read Batman Hush. This great mystery with a plot twist at the end that you didn't expect, and you're like, oh! And it was a great mystery, it was a great story, everybody loved it, and they changed it for whatever godforsaken reason in this movie. They changed the plot twist. The Thing, the flesh and blood of Batman Hush, they decided, let's change that for no discernible reason. I don't know why they did that at all. It was such a stupid thing. I was so upset. I'm gonna say what they did in the movie. I'm not gonna say the twist in the comic book. I'll say the twist in the movie because I don't care if I spoil this for you because it sucks. Just stay with. So there's this character, this villain named Hush, who knows who Batman is, and he's plaguing Batman, ruining his life, this and that. And everybody's like, who's Hush? Who's Hush? That's the whole question of the movie. Who is Hush? And in the comic book, it's a really well set up plot twist that makes the audience go, oh, it has weight to the story. However, in this New 52 animated movie, for whatever godforsaken reason, they thought, let's make Hush the Riddler. Yeah, because that makes sense. Let me tell you guys, if you've read the comic, you know, that makes absolutely zero fucking sense. That's a stupid move. It was such a brain-dead concept that they just put out, like, oh, you know how we had the twist here that we could totally just put in the movie? There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to. Yeah, well, Riddler. What the fuck? It sucked. Terrible, 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 terrible plot twist. It ruined the rest of the movie, which was quite good. It was a step above the rest of the New 52 animated movies. And then that plot twist immediately brought it back down. It was so bad. Yeah, stay away from it. Don't watch the movie. It's just gonna disappoint you. You're just gonna get upset. If you want to watch a better DC animated movie, go watch Batman vs. the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because that is a much better movie that is really well done. It's really faithful to the comic book that it is based off of, and also it is its own continuity, so there's nothing holding it back. So definitely go check that one out instead. Alright, speaking of movies, I watched a superhero comic related movie recently, and that was James Gunn's, it's not James Gunn's, James Gunn produced this, but Brightburn, which is basically a take on Superman, but what if he was evil? And it's not like we haven't seen that done at least 1,000 times before in the past decade. However, they did it really cleverly in this one because they made it a horror movie rather than just Superman being this huge, grrr kind of evil type of dude. You know, the Iron Fist. He basically, every other time they do it, they try to make him Hitler. But this time they try to make him like a horror movie monster or a horror movie villain, and it worked really well. I like the way they did it. It's not a perfect movie at all. There's quite a bit of flaws, and you could tell because I think this was the director's first movie. I'm not sure on that. Don't hold me to that, but I think it was. It felt like a first movie, or at least the first take on this type of movie. But for what it was done pretty well. Had a beginning, middle, and end. The horror in it was actually pretty well done. The CGI was shaky at times, but the practical effects were really well done. They were just really good it surprised me, jaw-dropping, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it really, really was pretty cool. I liked the take on, what they did, the horror movie aspect, because you never really seen Superman in a horror area or genre before, not even in the comics. They never even thought to go in that direction. They never brought him into there, not even like a Justice League Dark crossover where it gets kind of spooky. Superman's always just been in his own little corner of things, and this was interesting to see the play on that story. And just to be clear, this only takes place within the childhood of Superman, or Brandon as he's called in the movie. Because, they can't say, this is Clark Kent, he's going to kill a bunch of people in this movie, because they would get sued. And this was made by Sony, and like I said before, it was produced by James Gunn and written by his brothers, and directed by, I do not remember his name, I'm sorry. You guys have the internet, you guys can go look it up. But, yeah, it was pretty good, and comparing it to other evil takes on Superman, I think this one was, well, not more well done than most. I don't want to say that, because I feel like there's a lot of really well done evil takes on Superman. This is probably one of the lower ones, but this is one of the more interesting ones. Just different it is. Brandon is from this alien spaceship. Crashes on Earth. The farmers find him. They raise him. But the difference here is that these aliens that he comes from aren't exactly, the friendliest, and so they basically beam into his mind as soon as he gets old enough that hey, whoa, dude, you got to go take over this planet. That's why we sent you there. So him landing there wasn't an accident or anything. He was sent there for a purpose, just like Clark Kent was, and that purpose was to take over the planet and to kill everybody. Which, spoilers, by the end of the movie, it's implied that he does, and it's also implied that there's a evil version of the Justice League on this Earth, so they went full DC on it, which was interesting to see. Honestly, I would like to see a full movie about that, all that. Like, it would be dumb, it'd be stupid, it probably wouldn't be good at all. It'd be really corny and just like really ham-fisted, but it'd be interesting to see. I'd definitely like to watch it. But yeah, Brightburn was pretty nice. I liked it quite a bit. I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. Depends on what type of movies you like. If you like horror movies and if you like superhero movies, you're gonna enjoy this quite a bit. It's pretty cool. Acting was okay. It was okay. I'd say the best one in the movie would be Brandon himself. The kid who played him did a really good job of, portraying that kind of cold brutalness that would come from a being who could just take down an entire planet. I liked it a lot. Pretty good. Alright, we can cut right here. I don't think... Okay, maybe I could talk about... Yeah, okay. Alright, so, I had originally planned to do a Q&A for this episode, but I decided to leave it for the next one. So, why don't you guys leave questions in the comments below, or DM me or whatever you want to do. If you know me or you have access to where I hang out. You could find me on Instagram at Thwipp. Same thing on Twitter. And just ask me questions about anything comic related or even just in general, and I will answer them on the next podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it's not much, but I wanted to put on an episode just to get things rolling, and there'll be more interesting topics soon. Like the next episode, we're going to be talking about canceled Spider-Man projects, which I'm really excited to talk about because I could go on about that for hours, but we're going to have to condense that down. So thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.